This is ultimately going to be an overall idea of movement tech that I've been finding out. There's a few things to unpack here. One, which I think is pretty OP. A few, which I think are pretty good. I don't know what parts of it are like really, really good and what parts of it are like void good. You know what I'm saying? You guys can be the judges. I'll tell you guys the whole thought process, how we got to this point. So, a long time ago, when Joker was super duper omega ultra meta, I saw this very specific movement tech. So the interaction, yeah, so Shiro was on the ledge, and Shiro ended up doing this. Right? It looked like a sideways dodge, right? That turned grounded like a waveland, like that. Okay? That doesn't look like anything special, right? It really doesn't. And I looked at this months ago, and I was like, that's weird. Something weird happened there. So I've kind of been looking into it since then. Pause, take out your notepads, and observe. Right? But you can do this like pretty consistently. Doesn't matter if you're in burnout or not, you can do it pretty consistently. Right? If you do it too low, you fuck up. Do it at the perfect height, you make your air dodges turn into ground dodges, okay? For example, let's look. Smith's ground dodge goes there, right? Smith's dodge into the ground from the air goes there. Smith's air dodge goes there. You notice that the ground dodge goes a lot further, right? So, if you have a way to transition your air dodge into the ground, which is a height-based thing, you end up moving with your ground dodge distance. It is a 1-bar dodge. It goes pretty far. And one thing, when you're trying to land, like let's say I'm trying to chase Shaggy, right? Let's say, or not chase Shaggy. Let's say I'm trying to approach Shaggy. And I'm like, oh man, this sucks. I'm going to dodge away. You don't go anywhere. And it's such a punishable situation. But instead, you're like, whoa, now I can like move all the way over here, have a ground dodge distance, and go significantly further. So for this specifically, I have 2 clips from last night that I would like to show you. So that way you can kind of show like the proof in the pudding. Okay? So look at this. Right? You notice how Songhae, clearly a very good player, thought I was going to land significantly closer. But I'm like, okay, I can go way farther out and I just get a whiff punish. Right? Pretty good. Same exact situation here, where this is round start, right? And I'm going in, easy bait. Dodge, go a lot farther, whiff punish. So this is already really good. You know, this is just layer 1. There's more. That's the crazy part. So of course with this, you can tell you have a lot more options when it comes to landing and where you want to end up when it comes to disadvantage, right? As you can see, Smith is clearly a very, very good user of this. His ground dodge goes very, very far, and his air dodge is enough to transition himself into the ground, right? Now, what if I told you you don't have to go forward? That's right. You can B-reverse it. So you can either go back, like dodge backwards, move forward, jump in, right? Or maybe you want to go in. Psych, I'm not actually going in, right? Another thing, since you're doing a grounded dodge, because I saw somebody bring up cross-ups, since you're in a grounded state, you ignore unit collision. So you can do this and cross the hell out of people. You can mix the hell out of people. For what it's worth, the cool thing about this, in my opinion, it's just like a wave dash. You can call it wave dashing if you want. I would just say it's like a wave dash. Easiest way to explain it. When you're dodging into the ground, you have invuln. When you touch the ground, you lose invuln. See that? So it's not like you're just invincible the whole time. It is specifically a way to move. It is movement. It is not a way to invincibly move. It is movement. All right? Keep that in mind. Going back into it, there is a way to do this just moving straight forward. There's a skid variant, which I'm just calling it the skid variant, which you notice he's kind of like sliding. And the immediate like reverse movement, the more snappy one. To reiterate, the reason why this is good and the reason why I thought about it, ground dodges go significantly farther than air dodges. So finding a way to transition yourself from an air to a grounded state, there's ways to make it really good. And with that being said, there's more. So something else that I did find out regarding this, and the reason why I was trying to lab this, is because jabs were really strong and are still really strong in the current MultiVersus meta. So I was trying to find ways to be in a grounded state and threaten aerials, but find out a way to mix that and do a grounded attack. So look at this. That's a Sair. That's a Sair. That's a jab, right? And you're like, oh my god, Void, you went from an aerial state to the ground and did a jab. But that was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. I didn't go anywhere. I succeeded at what I wanted to do, but I didn't go anywhere. This is something that I would consider Void cool. This is not something that's cool. This is not something that's useful, but this is Void cool, right? So about a couple days ago, I finally found it out. What you do is you dash horizontally and you can get grounded attacks. If you notice right here, you can see the little dash marks under Stripe, right? The little dust, right? That dust right there. When you see that dust, you are technically in a grounded state. This happens a lot for a lot of aerials and such, but you are in a grounded state. So because of that, if I up tilted right here, I get an up tilt. But if I do it up here, you guys see no dust? If I went for the attack there, I'm gonna get an up air, right? So there's a way to juke people out and be like, okay, maybe I want to land over here. And no, I'm approaching with a jab before I hit the ground. I think this is a little more Void cool. This is a little harder to implement. It's not one-to-one like crazy, but it's a good thing because it's really hard to land on the ground in MultiVersus. I think we could agree, right? Press 1 if you agree. It's a little hard to land and find out like exactly where you're landing, right? It's a little weird. So one thing that was very interesting, Arya can go straight down and do these L's, right? And I was like, oh, that's weird. Because being able to do it just straight down, you know, does end up adding a lot more variance to where you want to land. And I think having variance is honestly one of the best things about platform fighters, just being able to find out like exactly where you want to land, how you want to fight. There's just so many things that go into it that it's like, whoa, this is pretty nuts, right? And then Bam was like, yo, could you try that with LeBron? I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but I can't get it. And I was like, okay, you know, let me go try it with LeBron. Because, you know, when for some reason, that didn't click with me before. I was like, why couldn't I do that with other characters? You see that? LeBron moves nowhere. Bro, he plants his feet. He is ready to do nothing, right? That's so sad. You know, you look at a character like, let's go back to Stripe, right? Stripe dodges to the ground. He can't do anything. It sucks. So it seems like an Arya specific tech. So if you guys don't know, there's something that's a movement tech as well that, if I'm not mistaken, is referred to as, or was referred to as hyper hopping. If you don't know, if you land on the ground, but let's say I up special, right? You know, I'll technically get my resources back. I think that one missed. So if you can find a way to land on the ground, that one I didn't get it. That one I guess I technically landed. It felt a little late. It was a little late, but you know, you do something off the ground, you rise off the ground, you get your resources back, right? So essentially, if you up dodge, it's the same gist of the sideways dodge. You technically get in a grounded state, so you refresh all of your resources. That one missed. That one had the dust, so you can tell that it worked. That one had the dust, you can tell that it worked. That one had the dust, you can tell that it worked. It had the dust, you can tell that it worked, right? This way, you can pretty much infinitely stay in the air as long as you're willing to use meter, right? So that's something that's really cool. I've been using it a lot over the last month, and I think it's amazing. I think people get baited by the fact like, oh no, I have no resources. What are you gonna do, right? But it's a very easy way to get back into the air and still have all of your resources. And I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but this is something that I've been aware of for a while. This is another piece of movement tech, which is very important, and I still don't see a lot of people doing this. But if you dodge up and jump, it costs 1 bar. This is not 3 bar movement. This is 1 bar movement. That's key. If you look at the bar, only 1 is gone. And that's such a big deal in this game because meter matters so much in MultiVersus. So being able to have movement for 1 bar is amazing. So when you combine those things together, right? You have 1 bar dodge jump, 1 bar dodge jump, 1 bar dodge jump, 1 bar dodge jump. You have ways to stay in the air. You have ways to like follow people in the air, as long as you get the timing down, right? You can even do grounded attacks off of an aerial state, right? You can even just like move in general when it comes to like pseudo wavelands, right? Find a way to get from the air to the ground, right? So then this morning we found it all out. Did you know that up dodge into dodge jump costed 1 bar instead of 3? Press 1 if you knew, press 2 if you didn't. All right, I'm seeing a lot of 2s. I'm seeing a lot of 2s, okay? Press 1 if you knew that down dodge into dodge jump costs 1 bar. Chat, I need you to observe. So this is a combination of a lot of things. 1, dodge jump in general is giving me the initial momentum. But when you dodge down into the ground and you're stuck, you can cancel that with jump. With a 1 bar dodge jump. So all of this movement tech, all of these concepts combined into figuring this out today. When in Burnout, it is nuts. Another thing as well that I didn't bring up with this dodge into the ground, with season 2 changes where you move and you keep your momentum for a jump, you can do like a 1 bar like dodge, I guess, to like set things up, and you get full momentum off of that, right? But it's just a way to constantly stay into the air and just be completely like literally just constantly have 2 jumps. The other thing that's really good with this is when it comes to MultiVersus, it's really hard to know when you've actually landed. So let's say I'm playing bugs, right? And I hit them with an up tilt. And I'm like, maybe I want to bait a jump into a fast fall, like double jump up air. You don't have to fast fall double jump. You can literally just dodge down and just get a normal ass full jump. So there's just a lot more ways to be able to move in general when it comes to, are you willing to burn meter for it? So ultimately, Gizmo doesn't. No, it does. There's a lot of things that go into this, but Gizmos is actually pretty good. I'm actually a fan of Gizmos. Everything I've said today has been universal. I want you guys to know that. Dodging the ground to get more distance, universal. Up dodge into jump for 1 bar, universal. Down dodge into jump, universal. Yeah, except the Aria stuff. Dodge into like turnaround momentum, universal. And dodge into the ground to refresh your resources so that way you can jump, universal. Everything works with every character in the cast. How's Jason's? Jason's isn't too hot because he's just pretty slow. But Jason has this, where he can end up moving hella far when it comes to this. Because for some reason, Jason just decides to have a drive rush. But ultimately, I think with the system changes, it makes it a lot easier to set up things like this, because a big part of what makes this good is being able to be in somebody's space and just move around them. And with the new system changes with the dodge or with the momentum jump, it's a lot easier to get into somebody's face and be like, okay, well, where am I going to land? Right? And I think that's really good. Ultimately, I don't know how good this is. I found this out 3 hours ago. But I think this final piece of the puzzle, to be able to dodge into the ground, to not only make sure you land and refresh your resources to like maybe even double jump and chase somebody, but to be able to move around somebody when majority of the neutral in this game consists of a lot of this right now, I think will be very good. I think there is a lot of ideas that can come from this. I'm very hopeful. And ultimately, I hope that you guys can have some fun with this today or tomorrow. I don't know if I'm overreacting. I don't know how good this is, but I think it is very, very good. I don't think this is void cool. I think this is just cool. I think this is something awesome that has been in the game that people haven't really put all the pieces of the puzzle together to do. Because again, like, there's still this, right? And I've been labbing a lot of movement lately to make sure that when I do show it to you guys, I'm proficient enough to like show it off. Because even like up dodge to get off the ground to make sure you get your stuff back is really cool, but it is really precise. But legit, just being able to down dodge and like figure it out is really, really good. But that's the thing, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of stuff that I talked about. Find out what you want to work on. Maybe you don't want to work on any of them and you just love dodge jabbing. But that's about it. End of the day, I want to show cool stuff about this game. And it took me a lot of time and work to get to this point of putting these pieces together. And yeah, I hope we can just have a fun day on MultiVersus today. Have fun, guys. Have fun. Enjoy. Let me know how the journey goes. So, yeah, I hope you guys have a good day.